Hi, this is Moods with Noey, and this is a podcast journal for me to talk about what I find magic and mystifying and memeable about the music I listen to. So let's get started. I'm sure you've noticed the name change. Well, I want to be flexible. For season 2, I really want to try some new things out. I had about 8 months between recording the last episode and now. And one thing that just stuck out to me was that I absolutely love the process of digging into the music and talking about what it means to me and how the lyrics make me feel and how it all works together. And I feel like I have the absolute best memories of doing that from season 1, and the movies not so much. I love watching movies, I love talking about them, but I think I just want to narrow my focus. And at the end of the day, I'm the boss. So what I say goes. So honestly, if things change again, you'll know why. 'Cause nothing's really set in stone, and what's the risk anyway, right? Also, for various reasons, I'm using a completely different computer and mic and audio editing setup. I think it's fine because I've never had a perfect setup anyway. I'm just trying to be flexible. Because when you're not flexible, you break. So season 2, episode 1, the album is Sparks by Sparks. And it was initially released in 1971 as Half Nelson, which was their original name. And then it was released in 1972 as Sparks. Sparks by Sparks. You know, a debut album. It's always confusing. And it's already hard to search for Sparks. Well, I should say it's easier these days than it used to be. When Jordan Sparks was really big on the scene, it was very hard to be a Sparks fan Googling things, let me tell you. I really chose Sparks because I've mentioned them, I think, in other episodes. They're one of my absolute favorite bands. I got into them in, for me, high school. And they've literally been around for so long, and they've been through so many phases. There's a documentary about Sparks now. Oh my gosh. When I was trying to find Sparks stuff online in high school, I would never have believed I'd get to see a documentary, especially one where we get to hear about their personal lives, because they were so mysterious. When I say they, I mean the Mael brothers, Ron and Russell. So let's look at the personnel for the album, because there are some things that really stick out to me. Russell Mael on vocals, Ron Mael on keyboards, piano, organ, Earl Mankey on guitar, and lead vocal on Biology 2, Jim Mankey on bass guitar, and Harley Feinstein on drums. And then we get to the technical side. Todd Rundgren, producer, Thaddeus James Lowe, engineer, Ron Mael, artwork. I don't know if that's like the alternative one of them looking inside at the woman in the car, or the one against the brick wall. And then Larry DuPont, photography. Okay. Not only am I just a Todd Rundgren fan in general, but I love a lot of albums that he's produced, especially this one. I didn't know for years that he produced this, because I guess I didn't bother looking it up. It's actually very easily found information. Another cool thing to note here is that we have 2 sets of brothers. We have the Mael brothers and we have the Mankey brothers. And it sounds like the whole recording and production process for this album went a lot better for the Mael brothers with Todd Rundgren than it did for one of my other absolute favorite albums, which is Skylarking by Ecstasy. I understand they were not getting along very well. I hope I get to talk about Skylarking in the future. Skylarking got me through a whole summer of the pandemic. And I'm going to try something new, even for just talking about the albums, so we'll see how I like this one. Okay, so the first track is Wonder Girl. This is like a pokey sort of, almost like a Western track. It's got this really cool drum, I have thought of it as like puffing along, and this bass that's also chugging along with it. This was one of the singles off the album. As per usual, singles really aren't usually my favorite. Ron writes, I would say, the majority of the tracks. Russell does write as well. But when Ron writes a song for Russell, I feel like he gets him to say some funny things. And the line, "do me right at this ungodly hour," cracks me the hell up. Just imagining Ron having Russell say that. It's so pleading and it's just like strangely worded. I can imagine Ron chuckling as he wrote that. If Ron chuckles, I'm sure he chuckles. I think as you're listening to, I mean, I don't think anyone's listening to Sparks thinking, I need to take this really seriously. But I think that well-placed raspberry sound reminds you yet again that we're not in a space here where we can't laugh at the absurdity of life, right? I just said it. It's not my favorite track. It's apparently a popular one, or it was popular. It's the first one on the album. I think it really sets the tone, like it sets the energy. I'm probably going to use the term frenetic to talk about this album a lot because it really is. I also think about this line in the lyrics a lot. Trends make us contenders in the fall. Does that mean in the autumn or the decline of society? I also fundamentally misunderstood the one line, and after all, self-made men have daughters who just won't ball. Okay. I thought they were saying, after all, self-made men have daughters who just won't love them. I think it sounds like that. And I prefer that line. I think it adds a complexity to like the Wonder Girls whole situation. So I was going to say that this song was magic to me. Maybe it's more mystifying. Maybe at this point I've heard it so many times that I'm just numb to it. Like I can't look at it on the outside anymore. But a lot of the other songs I can. I feel like I listen to them fresh. I think I'm going to say mystifying for that one. Or magic but barely, which is what I wrote down. Okay, next track. Fala Fali. There is a reference to He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, which I guess I just thought was a Hollies reference, but is in fact a meaningful Boys Town reference. Look it up. And that's sweet, but this song is not sweet because this is a funky little ditty about incest. The lyrics make that very clear. I guess I was just thinking it had something to do with like her being underage because that's just such a common topic for songs written by men around this time. It's hard out here for classic rock fans, folks. But no, why wouldn't it be a felony? It's about incest. The character in the song is singing about his sister, but there really isn't much to go on in lyrics. Like, there's not much going on other than that. But you know what? It's a damn fun little song. Yeah. Fun arrangement. I just love Harley Feinstein's drum work in this entire album. It's excellent. And Sparks would not be who they are if they were working with, let's say it, shitty musicians. Okay, Fala Fali. There is a guitar solo around 150 that is so high energy. It just has this really bright sound. I can't think of another album with this frenetic energy. I guess I could really sit around and think about it, but this kind of weirdness and energy, maybe the album of theirs after this, really. Yeah, I wrote, is this about incest? I really went pretty long in life without thinking about it. I don't think this is a track that historically I've listened to a lot. I thought it was fun. And it is fun if you don't think about it too much. So I think in my head I'm going to label this as mystifying. Yeah, mystifying for sure. Next track on the album is Roger. So I think this was always my favorite. I love Russell's vocals, and I see that Russell wrote this one. His voice really just trails and winds around in such a satisfying way in this song. I really like the stereo mixing, so when you're listening on headphones, you can hear, instruments moving in and out. The guitar is really chaotic. I love the string sounds. It's really shimmery. Oh, I stated that the whole album is like drinking a Red Bull with something fancy. You pick your poison. What's a fancy drink for you? Really, in terms of story, there's not a lot here. The character's like asking Roger for life advice, but mostly is asking him about Sue. I don't know. Does Sue do it for you, Roger? But I do like it. I really like the final third of the song. the outro at about 1:50. It's kind of spooky. Obviously, I like anything that leans towards the sinister, especially if it's absurd. I'm saying obviously, obviously. But I love I love Russell's vocals layered with the la la la's. Oh. And you know what? This one is magic. I'm calling this one magic. Whew, the next track? Oh my gosh, High C. This and another song on the album are my absolute current day favorites. So let's set the scene for High C. There's this female opera singer. She's a soprano, it seems. And I think she's friends with the protagonist. She's depressed after leaving the opera. You have to wonder, in what state did she leave? Was it on her terms? Was she forced out? I don't know, because no one's calling her. Her phone's covered in dust. And the protagonist, the character here, is just a regular plebeian knucklehead. I just love the drama of this song. I do feel it's a bit of a stain on the song, that there's that juxtaposition of the little woo woo. I can't stand that. It just cuts into it. It kind of breaks it up for me in a way that does not work, that just kind of bugs me. But I'm willing to ignore it because I'll listen to this song like 10 times in a row. Genius is telling me that he's breaking and entering into her home to sing with her. It sounds like they're friends. And maybe this is one of those famously delusional, like Sparks song characters. But I think it sounds like they're like neighbors. Obviously he's like busting into her house to tell her like, hey, I know you're sad about this, but we can sing. Obviously he's also trying to like hook up with her. I really like Russell's vocals descending when he sings high C down, down, down. And this song is responsible for me watching a few compilations of sopranos singing their best high Cs. So don't tell me that art can't teach. This track is magical with a capital M. And, Ron, tell me, are they friends or did he break in? It's funny if he broke in, but I'm just, that's my hill right now, okay? Next track, Fletcher Honorama, which is fun to say, even more fun to sing. This song is the most mysterious on the album because for me, I'm thinking, what's going on here? Why are a group of people singing at this old man? Did he have a twin? What's the meaning of the twin who worked? They're televising his death? Are they just putting the TV on for him and he's like in a state where he feels it's being televised? What I've always imagined when I listen to this song, if I did imagine anything at all, was a sacrificial scene, and there are these robed people standing around this little frail old man who is laying on a stone slab. And really, what is he, 80? He doesn't have to be frail by any means, but he is dying, so you think maybe he is. I don't know, I can't fully explain. I guess the meaning could be that he's reliving his life. I love that saloon, ragtime piano. Maybe that's sort of harking back to his past when he was a younger man. I just wrote Ron ... WTF. But this one's magic. It's magic as hell. It's a little mystifying too, I won't lie, because it is mysterious. Oh my gosh, what I wouldn't love for just a book of Ron to tell us, and Russell to tell us what they meant when they wrote these songs. The next track, Simple Ballet. Talk about demure. What a sweet song. What a sparkling song. I love the cymbals. The cymbals really add a theatrical sort of flourish. So in the world of this song, ballets are spontaneously occurring. Ballet is really hot right now, to the point where crews are filming it, maybe around the world. It's ballet for and by the masses, which personally I feel is needed. Simple Ballet kind of reminds me of a dream someone would have. Maybe it came from a dream. Ron and Russell worked on writing this one together, it looks like. The guitar lead in this, so beautiful, that solo. I just think of this song as just being tied up in a bow, and it's so perfect. I do wish it ended sooner. I think it goes a little too long without anything new to offer, but it's magic. So next up we have Slow Boat. So slow boat is like the idea of a long journey. So someone in the West could imagine a slow boat to China being like the longest trip you could ever take, I guess. So in the song, it's like, representing the longing that the character has for this other person, hoping they'll return, but knowing it's in vain. And the production of this song is really cool. I don't know how many layers of instruments we have here or what they're all doing, but the song is pretty. It's really beautiful. It's pretty normal by Sparks standards, honestly, and could potentially be seen as lame to a modern audience. I hate to say that. It's just, it doesn't have the charisma or the weirdness that a Sparks song usually does, but I think it was an interesting thing to try. And I'm sure it would hit home if there was someone in your life who you missed and you loved and wasn't returning. So I'm going to give Slow Boat a magic, just barely. Just barely. All right, so next up is Biology 2, and this song was actually written by Earl Mankey. And you know what, Earl? I want to give you some credit here because this is one of my favorite songs on the album, and I think just kind of one of the most iconic Sparks tracks to me. So Biology 2, can anyone say designer babies? More like eugenics. Yeah. Surprise. You get mentions of bad traits and good traits, and I love the pitch shift. I assume there was a pitch shift going on with the voices. I love this song because it is strange. These genes singing this song are ready to party. And they're even going to tell you what traits your baby might have. Maybe how your baby's going to look. Also, fun little detail hearing Ran Out of Breath. I only caught that wearing headphones. And I don't know, maybe this song is a good way to learn some basic bio. I tried to sing along to this song, and this line, "Oh, hold me, you know you are my one and only phenotype, and together we could have a genotype." The final lines are, "Get your earlobes freed." I always thought it was "get your earlobes free," like a promotion. Like, if you do these things, you'll get free earlobes. I don't know why earlobes wouldn't already be included in the baby. Now I understand it actually means detached earlobes. Which, by the way, I don't have. My earlobes are attached. So anyway, I love this song. I like the bleeps and the bloops. Me like bleeps and bloops. And so I give this song a memeable. Yeah, any song that starts out with, "Hey Lisa, we're having a big party down at the Allele pool tonight," gets a memeable from me. Also, I don't have a pop filter right now. Next up is Saccharin and the War. This song to me is just endlessly cool. There's a cool like egg shaker or like a maraca or something shaking away. I love the guitar work. And I think Russell's backing vocals just add so much depth. Obviously, that was the intention here, but it really works for this song. Saccharin, of course, as we know it, it's a sweet and low, it's a sugar substitute. I looked it up and it became popular after the First War. So it's possible that instead of World War II, which is mentioned in quite a few Sparks songs, of course, Ron and Russell are both post-war babies. I think this might be World War I. That is the end of me understanding really anything that's mentioned in this song. There's definitely a religious talk here, like Golden Cross and crucifixion. And it's frantic. This one is frantic. I really love the piano that comes in the last third with that high energy. And the song fades out in a way that I like, with instruments going in and out of like a dynamic range. And I'm not going to try to untangle the story here. I'm not even going to bother. There's nothing mentioned of weight loss, since it makes sense saccharin been like a diet, like a sugar alternative. I do appreciate the line, "their weight was returned back," because that is how diets just work. So between this and big bands, we have a lot of talk of maybe American experiences through war. And I'm going to call this one magic and mystifying in a good way, because I'm not sure what's going on here. But Russell wrote this, so maybe Russell can weigh in. Next up, I've already said I have a favorite, but this is my other favorite. Maybe this one's my favorite song. Big bands. I love big bands. This was written by both Ron and Russell. I just love a slightly deranged, fairly pathetic protagonist. So the character has a woman over his home, but he can't heat the damn home because he spends all his money on big band records. So I don't know how old this guy would be. If he was an adult during World War II, he was going to big band halls, ballrooms. Maybe this is the 50s or the 60s. Maybe it's even later. He says he owns every big band record ever made, and he's clearly really traumatized from the war, the crash prior to that. He's stuck in that time. And it's you would have a better time of it in life and dating in general if you maybe worked on the unnecessary expenses. Clearly, though, there's some kind of emotional and psychological crutch for him, though. The song builds so well throughout. I know I mentioned dynamic range in Saccharine and the War, but this one really plays a lot with it. We have complete stops and starts. I can totally imagine a group of dancers in a ballroom dancing to this song. The line, "I smile like Herbert Hoover," bizarre. I can't think of another song that says I smile like Herbert Hoover, and I just want to thank the brothers for that. This one is memeable. It's magic in the best way, but at the end of the day, it is memeable. It's silly, it's weird, it's uncomfortable. I love it. Okay, last song on the album, No More Mr. Nice Guys, written by Jim Mankey and Ron Mael. Of course, the phrase No More Mr. Nice Guys was not coined by either Sparks or Alice Cooper, but this song did come out a couple years, or a year or so, prior to Alice Cooper's. And no shade to Alice Cooper, just stating a fact here, because it's definitely a different song. The phrase is said to come from around 1960 and relates to Hitler. We're gonna have more Hitler references in Sparks' albums just in general. I mentioned the post-war influence. And I don't know, for some reason as an American, I've definitely had Hitler on the mind lately. I can't imagine why that would be. But the song, it's cool. And again, it's pretty normal. It's fairly tame by Sparks standards. It's like a rock song. So the guy is nice. He gets married through being nice and anxious. She cheats on him. He's not going to be nice anymore. Around 3 minutes, the guitar comes in, and it just sounds like a jet plane taking off. Kind of takes over. It really heightens the drama of the song. And definitely you can feel the character's pain through the guitar. At 5 minutes and 47 seconds, my ADHD usually can't get to the end without daydreaming because the lyrics are just being repeated. And for me, it's my brain's going somewhere else. Let's wrap it up, or let's do something different. It's like the Mark Bolan thing. But this one definitely gets a magic from me. I've always considered this one to be magic. Now, we have some awards to pass out. Yeah, I know, it's award season. So, what's the song most likely to get stuck in your head? This depends on your mood. This depends on those weird little phrases that get stuck rolling around in your brain. But I'm going to say Fletcher-Anorama. The title just rolls off the tongue. It's fun to sing. So be sure that the boy don't die before the morn. It's hard not to sing that once you've heard the song. And I like it too because it sounds like he's smiling when he sings it. Next award. Song most likely to make you read a few Wikipedia pages. Okay, for me it was biology too. I know it's basics. There were mentions of a eugenicist. But that is what is so fun about early Spark songs. Truly. And Ron and Russell are still working their asses off. Current day. So, check them out. So that's the Sparks debut album. And that's really what I've been digging into lately. I find it to be a helpful album for the winter because of the energy, because of the fact that it captures my imagination. I'm going to be real. Let's go into the moods portion of the podcast here, okay? Winter's kind of kicking my butt. Now, I work every day to make sure that winter doesn't take over. And honestly, I like the cold. I can handle the cold as long as my lungs are cooperating, as long as that whole asthmatic thing is under control. But it's dark. It's gray. It's kind of gloomy. Everything's dead. I mean, I know I'm not the first person to complain. Christmas would have been more fun, but everyone in my life knows that this cold and flu season has been particularly bad, and I was sick for like a month and a half. No, I'm not going to shut up about it. It was significant. Every time I thought I was getting better, I would get sick again. That really messes with you mentally. So mood-wise, I tried to record this a month ago, and I didn't because I got the flu. Oh my god, have you gotten the flu recently, dear listener? It sucks. And I wasn't enjoying bronchitis because that was a bad bronchitis, and then strep and everything. Strep wasn't as bad. I'm just taking it day by day. And the current administration is not making that easy. I've had to mute a lot. I have to allow a small factual trickle of news, of the news cycle in, so that I can at least stay somewhat informed. But I can't get in the mindset that, like, society is crumbling. Or I won't be able to just, like, wake up every day and do shit. And I really need to. And I have goals. And we need to be able to show up for the people that we love, especially for those who are considered vulnerable right now. And who are already vulnerable. And that might be all of us. All right. If you didn't want to hear about the current administration, I totally get it. I've been very vague anyway. But I've been just trying to take my vitamins, my supplements, my minerals, and get more fruit and veg. Get more fruit and veg. That's my chant. It helps. Oh my gosh. Because I will not eat a beet, but if you put a beet in a smoothie, I barely even know about it. So that's moods. And I really just want to thank you because if you were listening after my 8-month break, you're incredible. You were the coolest. Give yourself a gold star. So really, I just want to thank you for listening. If you liked this, send it to someone that you love and say, you should check this out. It's kind of like listening to a friend ranting in your ear. If you didn't like it, send it to someone you don't like as punishment for something that they did in the past. That's Moods with Noey. Thank you so much, and take care. Bye.